Anyway, dude, we need to talk about mining again, your specialty subject.
It hasn't gotten boring yet.
It's funny as well because it's like, I remember somebody set up a mining podcast a while back. I was like, what are you going to talk about? You know, like mining is a subtopic of Bitcoin. I can cover that. How are you going to cover that every week? I totally get it now. It's his own like wild industry that's spawned all these things we didn't even expect. How do you take it all in?
I think about it very similarly to Bitcoin, where I showed up for Bitcoin for the sweet financial gains, and ended up eating steak and reshaping all these different areas that I thought I had a good understanding of. And so Bitcoin is like the great teacher that forces you back to kindergarten in all these different topics. And mining for me was the same experience where it said, oh, you think you know about the world around you, fool, and then it sends you back. It makes you learn from first principles around energy, around power markets, physics, history, the same way that Bitcoin did. So Bitcoin made me learn about the history of money. Mining made me learn about the history of ports and cities, and how does a young country, being that we're in a relatively young country compared to your balmy isle. How does a new place develop, and what are the design decisions that get put into sort of the emergent concept that was America, and how are those emergent design decisions playing themselves out for us today in a brand new industry? So it's been fun.
Well, it's this thing of calling Bitcoin this organic creature that just seems to be growing into this thing that all these areas we didn't expect, that we didn't realize, that we didn't see coming. And I mean, I said it on the pod a bunch of times. I'm most excited about the unknown unknowns, the things that are going to come out in the future that Bitcoin or mining does that nobody could think about, that nobody could prepare for. Like the show we made with Adam Wright the other day, where we have an issue with climate change at the moment. Some people disagree. I think we do. 41 degrees in the UK is a new record by some 2 degrees. And the new records every year. We do have a climate issue. I'm sorry, scientists are right. Shut the fuck up. And, whether you agree with it or not, or whatever you think we should be doing about it, there is an indisputable fact that if you can go to a landfill site, put miners there, and turn methane into Bitcoin, it doesn't matter what you think of climate change. That is an industry that economically works and is good for the climate and creates Bitcoin. Nobody saw this shit coming. Well, how did?
Yeah. That's the beauty of a market. When you offer a difficult human problem up to a market, talk about the emergent, sort of the untethered growth of what Bitcoin looks like today versus some number of years ago. What's so great about it is that Bitcoin was born out of a extreme human problem, which was the moral hazard of governments being continuous bailouts in 2009, and an inventor or discoverer, depending on what you think of Bitcoin's origin story, looked at this problem of never-ending bailouts and said, there's a way to change money, and I believe that my discovery or my invention is going to be compelling enough to win value in the marketplace of monies. And so what I think we're seeing today is the bolted on second order effect of that decision to create a monetary good that can compete on the merits with other monies. And what we found is that a lot of people said, yes, this is working. We want to choose this one. And so it's commanding sufficient purchasing power to be able to then turn its eye of Sauron onto another industry, an emerging human problem, which is we want to live in a beautiful planet and get to enjoy the abundance of advanced technology and not have to suffer the externalities of that enjoyment. And so what this superior monetary good is saying to that problem is it's saying, you guys are leaving a whole ton of meat on the bone. The way you do things today is wildly inefficient, and I'm going to prove to you how inefficient your current behavior is with a market mechanism, because rewarding you for being efficient with your usage and efficient with your energy generation is going to be far more valuable when I pay you some percentage of these 900 new Bitcoin every day. And there's a lot of, entrepreneurial young souls who are looking at that opportunity, or maybe older souls, and looking at that opportunity and saying, I want those Bitcoin, and I think I know how to get them, and I think I can introduce a net positive by doing so. And I think that my idea is the best in the marketplace because you're utilizing something that's naturally occurring and introducing a negative externality, methane in the atmosphere. Nobody's saying it's good. And by solving this problem and getting paid to do so, what I'm not trying to do is argue to pass some bill through a legislative body of 80-year-olds. I'm just going to go and I'm going to do it, and I'm going to get paid to do it, and I'm going to solve your problem.
And it's starting to flip the narrative. It's becoming harder and harder for people to claim that Bitcoin is bad for the environment, which they're still doing. It still exists. There's articles in the press, and there's certain senators or Congress people are saying it, but it's flipping. I mean, we had it the other day. Who was that? The one where Senator Lummis replied to?
That was Todham Wright.
No, she replied to another senator, didn't she?
Senator Durbin.
Oh, sorry. I thought you meant when she quote tweeted that.
Yeah. Go and find out what he said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me push you.
Yeah.
Because I'm sensing a vibe shift.
I am.
The vibe shift is that Bitcoin is not bad for the environment. The vibe shift is that Bitcoin takes the energy and you have no right to it.
Wow. This is moving goalposts. This is control freaks wanting to move the goalposts. This is, I hate Bitcoin. I can't give you a rational reason why, but I'm just going to keep moving the goalposts just to argue that case.
Because I really do think 6 months ago or 12 months ago, the narrative was Bitcoin is creating emissions. And today, I think the narrative is Bitcoin is taking energy from deserving uses.
Yeah, which also is patently not true. It's an even weaker argument.
Mm-hmm.
Like I could make the argument against Bitcoin for the environment. I can make that, and I can go and spread that to politicians and journalists and get those articles out there. You can do it because we have an environmental crisis. Some people believe, some people don't. Let's just be very clear. I know that we do know that I believe there is. We have an issue with a warming planet, and then people put that down to burning of fossil fuels. So it's very easy to make the link and go, well, these Bitcoin miners, they're wasting energy, they're causing coal plants to be fired back up, and they're using as much energy as Norway or some other bollocks, whatever measure they use, right, to make the argument. It's completely flawed, but you can make it in a way that somebody who isn't smart enough, who hasn't done the research, can put it out there. And we know it exists, and we know the influence it has, because when somebody puts out one of those tweets, under it you see all the no-coiners. You've never heard of Bitcoin or only know a little bit about Bitcoin or repeating these things. I mean, I've had them. I've got into arguments with people who clearly don't know anything about Bitcoin, and they're making the same argument. So what's that thing? It takes how much time to undo
It's like you need 7 positives for 1 negative or something.
Yeah, undo that bullshit. But you found it.
I can't find the original tweet. I can find her response.
Well, if you found her response,
it's
isn't it?
Senator Dick Durbin.
Yeah, I'm on his thing, but I can't find the actual original tweet.
Has he deleted it?
Maybe. It doesn't look like it though. She responded sort of in a separate thread, and she posted a load of like Darren Feinstein and
I thought she retweeted him at the start of that thread.
No, it's not in there, unless it has been deleted. I don't know.
That would be funny if he deleted it.
It's fun when the censors turn to self-censorship.
Well, it's fun when a senator turns around to another one and gives them straight up facts.
And I know that it's frustrating, and I know that sometimes it feels like not all parties are created equal when it comes to digesting information about Bitcoin. But this is really an exciting time to be observing American politics, because Bitcoin is the first bipartisan issue that I've ever seen in like years and years and years and years. It's crossing the aisle in really interesting ways, and it's forcing conversation to the surface that hasn't happened. I think we've got lots of crises in these challenging modern times, but one of the pressing crises that I see is a crisis of debate, where there's a lot of very tricky problems in front of us. I think that the world is a complicated place, and answers are not obvious. And the way to get to better answers is to have better conversations, and the way to have better conversations is to have people who don't agree talk.
I found that tweet, by the way. He said, "It's time to learn the truth about crypto. Let's start with the obscene amount of electricity needed to mine Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. Families and businesses in America will pay the price for crypto's mining ventures."
So that is that vibe switch. Yeah, I see what you're saying there. Well, I'm going to push you back on the bipartisan. We believe it should be bipartisan, but it's not. There's definitely more of a leaning to the right of senators who have adopted or support Bitcoin, and some of the criticisms tend to come more to the left. But look, by the way, I'm with you. We did an interview the other day with a guy called Jason Meyer. He's writing a book, A Progressive's Case for Bitcoin. He's a teacher. Mm-hmm. He is a progressive, good guy. Reached out to us, said, "Look, I'm working on this book. Just want to tell you about it." And we're like, "Come on the show."
Yeah.
He had like 30 Twitter followers. Like, nobody knows him. Like, come on the show and tell me your story about this book. I put it up on Twitter, and some people replied with, "Bitcoin is antithetical to left-wing ideology. This is dumb. He first has to get over the idea of stop stealing people's money," all these things. And my point back to every one of those is, if you're from the right, forget the anarchists. If you're from the right, you should want this book written more than any other book. You can completely disagree with people on the left, but you do not want them using this as a political argument. You want them on side on this. Fucking argue about everything else, but just have them on side with Bitcoin. Do you see what I'm saying?
I definitely see what you're saying. I also think that I come at it differently.
Okay.
That I think that what Bitcoin does really effectively is it is a return to accountability. And one thing that really frustrates me around the current political climate is that there's just a total lack of accountability between representatives and constituents. And I think that Bitcoin has the opportunity, and Bitcoin-related issues has the opportunity to force a much higher degree of accountability between those elected to represent us and the constituents that they represent, because for a few reasons. The first is that Bitcoin is such a high compression of time that if you send someone to office with an anti-Bitcoin policy and they stay, if you're a senator, you get a 6-year term. Think about what Bitcoin was like 6 years ago. It changes very, very rapidly. And so if you come to office, you say, "I'm running on a 100% anti-Bitcoin platform," and I get elected. And halfway through, maybe Bitcoin reveals itself to many of the constituents who elected that person and said, whoa, I changed my mind. This thing's clearly doing all of this incredible humanitarian good all over the world. This thing is improving markets. It's improving people's lives everywhere, which I think it is. Maybe we need to change our approach. Most other times, you never see the impact of the platform that you send someone to Washington to advocate for within the context of the term that they were sent there on. And so there's this opportunity for Bitcoin to hold representatives really deeply accountable for the choices that they make, because the other part about Bitcoin evolving so rapidly is that if you don't get involved and start your process, you get left behind really fast.
I think that's hopeful. We had well,
sorry.
Well, we had politicians send us into an illegal war in Iraq that became very clear afterwards that was based on lies and bullshit and had nothing to do with any weapons of mass destruction that existed. It was all lies. We were taking an illegal war. 1.5 million people died, right? That to me is a war crime. Bush, Blair should have been at The Hague and tried for war crimes. Why did you lie? And why did you send us into an illegal war? Tony Blair is now somebody who goes around and gives expensive dinner speeches and gets paid a lot of money. He gets consulted on a lot of important things by different groups, and I don't know, and then follow their bullshit. Pretty sure George Bush is just playing golf and cooking barbecue. We don't hold these people accountable. They get away with their bullshit again and again and again. And I think in the now, what we've got is people who are essentially lying about Bitcoin because either they're uninformed or they're just disingenuous. And the problem with these people is that when people tend to argue over partisan issues, they tend to repeat the things that the opinion leaders in their space say, whether that is a politician or that is a journalist. they will just repeat their talking points.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the people I'm arguing with on Twitter, I'm repeating the talking points they've read in The Guardian or some bullshit there. Now we have a guy on their team saying, you're completely right. This book, by the way, this book isn't to convince people from the right to become lefties. This book is to deal with FUD that comes from the left, from a guy on the left saying, here, this is where you're misinformed.
I commend the effort. I'll read the book.
You don't need to convince it.
Yeah, but I'll at least buy the book.
But what I'm saying, the point I'm trying to make is like, nobody on the right should be scared of this book. They should support this book because it's educating people who are different from you on why Bitcoin is good.
Totally. I think that if I had to put myself in the shoes of the person on the right who would argue against that, they're saying that any compromising on any ideology that is not absolutist disqualifies you from participation in the conversation. And I think we see this behavior elsewhere in the Bitcoin community. I think we see this issue elsewhere in the American political system. I think that at the end of the day, the more you're able to have a true North Star around your own life and your family's life and the prosperity that you can bring to the world, the happier you'll be. And my recommendation for those people is to spend less time on Twitter.